Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Lamplight City. And we have yet another person to question in regards to Desiree Lathan's death, guys. We need to chat with Roger Dube at the university, which I assume is the University of New Britannia, which we haven't been to since the very first case we had. So let's go ahead and travel that way.
Have a lovely day, Addie.
Goodbye, dear. Love you.
Love you too.
I hope they work out. Oh, here we go. Yes, indeed, it is the same university. Different... Whoa. Alright, we walked right into the middle of art class.
I'm guessing it's locked, but it probably only contains more art supplies we don't care about. All the tools an artist would ever need. Brushes, pieces of canvas, paints. There's also several jars full of clear liquid. Interesting.
That could be the accelerant we're looking for.
Huh. This is linseed oil. It's used as a drying agent for oil paintings. It would be a good idea to take a sample of this, Miles, especially now that nobody's looking.
Indeed.
Where dreams go to die.
Good stuff there.
These aren't half bad. Nice to know the students aren't completely wasting their time here.
I got a candle for lighting. Let's see what Bill has to say about this.
Well, so much for modesty. Ooh, is it warm in here or is it just me?
Alrighty, and it looks like we can't talk to any of the students, so let's have a chat with Mr. Dube.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Are you Roger Dube?
I am.
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I have some questions for you if you aren't too busy.
Will this take long? This isn't exactly the best time.
It shouldn't, no.
All right then, quickly.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree? Yes, of course I know her. What happened to her was just awful.
Indeed. My condolences, Mr. Dube. What can you tell me about her?
She was a wonderful woman. Sharp, full of life, extremely witty. I only knew her for a short time, but I consider myself lucky to have had her as a friend.
How did you two meet?
We were introduced at a party and became fast friends. It's hard to believe she's really gone.
Do you have any information regarding Desiree's death?
No, none at all. It came as a total shock. I heard she was burned to death. Oh, is that true?
It is.
It's really just unthinkable.
Do you know of anyone who might have wished harm upon her?
No, everyone loved her. To think someone could be capable of doing that to her, it just makes me feel sick.
You painted Desiree's portrait, is that right?
Yes, I finished it just a few months ago.
Do you often do commissioned work?
Sometimes, but this wasn't exactly a commission, more like a gift.
You mean you weren't paid for it?
No, I didn't do it for money. It was an honor just to paint her.
I see. And did she like the result?
Well, she had it hanging in her bedroom and not in her attic, so I assumed she liked it well enough.
It was a rather nice portrait, I must admit.
Oh, so you've seen it?
Indeed I have. Regrettably, I can't comment on the likeness, never having seen the subject in life.
Ah, yes. Well, she used to say that standing in front of it was like looking into a mirror. I tried my best to do her justice.
How long have you been teaching at this university?
About 4 years now.
And do you also earn money with your painting?
Not of late. I haven't sold a painting in some time. But my salary from the university is enough for the time being. Perhaps someday I'll be able to devote the proper focus to my painting.
I'll let you get back to your class.
Right.
Alright, well, the biggest lead that we have here is the oil. So we need to go ahead and check that out. Hopefully the coroner will have examined Desiree's ashes by then. Let's go ahead and see. And we still need to go talk to Usher and Price. We haven't been able to do that yet.
Now that we've got some linseed oil, it's probably worth testing.
Oh, that looks like it might become the right color.
Well, I'll be damned. We've got ourselves a match. I wonder if Edwards knows anything pertinent about this stuff.
Only one way to find out.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
What do you know about linseed oil?
It's an oil made from flaxseed that has many uses. Most commonly, it's used to dry things like varnish or oil paints. Some people even eat it for health benefits. I hear it goes well with a bit of quark.
And it's flammable?
As most oils are, yes. Where are you going with this?
The oily residue on that rag is linseed oil.
Fascinating.
But I found no trace of anything used to light a fire at the crime scene.
Uh-oh, he's getting that gleam in his eye.
Wait just a moment. Linseed oil? Of course! Anytime linseed oil is used, extreme caution must be taken to dry cure rags that may be soaked in it. That's because when linseed oil dries and oxidizes, it releases heat. A pile of rags soaked in linseed oil in a confined space runs the risk of spontaneously combusting.
How long would this take, exactly?
A few days, at least.
Interesting. It's a rather uncertain means of murder, but it's excellent for appearing accidental.
It's certainly not the most far-fetched conclusion you've ever come to.
Yay for clues.
Have you had a chance to look at those ashes I gave you?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can tell you. The victim burned to death at a very high temperature. These ashes are greasy and putrid because of liquefied fat from the body, which burned like a candle.
It's quite all right, Edwards. I appreciate the information nonetheless.
Well, just so you don't go away empty-handed, have a copy of my report. Maybe it will be of some use.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Okay, let's take a look at this report. Desiree Lathan, age 63, died as a result of burning to death. Cause of fire is undetermined. Oh, that's what we can use to get into Usher and Price. Because that is irrefutable proof that Desiree is dead. All the pieces are coming together, guys. I love it. Let's go here first.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Yes?
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A report from Dr. Malcolm Edwards, the city coroner, confirming Miss Lathan's untimely demise.
Let me see that. Oh my. Wait one moment, would you?
Oh.
Martin, what is the meaning of this?
The gentleman who brought that is a private investigator. He's waiting outside to see you.
Send him in, then.
You heard him, Mr. Fordham. You may go inside and see Mr. Usher.
Thank you kindly.
Finally.
So, a private investigator, are you?
That's right. Miles Fordham is my name.
Jonas Usher, a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, it would seem that Miss Lathan has shuffled off the mortal coil, as it were.
I'm sorry to say that is indeed the case.
Please come in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. I only ask that you kindly wash your hands in the basin first, and limit what you touch in here.
This one seems a bit on edge, doesn't he?
Yeah, but by the way, that's one of the most satisfying sounds in the world to me, is like if you go to the bank and send the canister through the tube system, just that. Just, goosebumps.
Adds a nice bit of color to the room. Is there anything more boring than books on law? Just reading the titles is making me drowsy.
It helps them sleep.
Stern-looking lady.
Wonder if that's the wife or the mother.
Judging by how full these bottles are, Usher doesn't indulge much. What a waste.
And can't see anything on the desk to touch.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your cooperation.
Usher seems to like keeping his guests at a distance.
Mr. Usher, I have some questions for you.
And hopefully I have your answers.
Oh, man. Look at that facial hair. Outstanding.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
She was a lovely woman. I'm saddened to hear of her unfortunate passing.
How long had you been her attorney?
She retained me some 10 years ago, I believe.
That's quite a long time.
Yes, I remember I had just gotten over a bout of melancholia and been able to work in nearly a month. I didn't think I'd make it out of that, but luckily things took a turn for the better. Miss Lathan came to see me, and I've served as her attorney ever since.
Would you say Miss Lathan is a wealthy woman?
Indeed I would. Her estate is worth a significant sum. Of course, you understand that this is confidential information, so I cannot tell you the exact amount.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but we still have the idea.
Can you think of anyone who may have wanted to harm Miss Lathan?
No, I can't. What makes you think that someone actually killed her?
It seems the most plausible explanation.
Miss Lathan was getting on in years. It's likely she may have developed a case of pneumonia. That's the most common killer of the elderly, you know. I had it when I was younger. Most unpleasant. Constant coughing, spitting up phlegm, rattling in the lungs. Thankfully, I made a full recovery.
But supposing that was the cause of death, how would it explain the fact that her body was completely burned?
She was a smoker. Perhaps she was having a cigarette when she died and dropped it on the bed, causing it to catch fire.
I found no cigarette butts at the crime scene.
I'm merely offering my opinion, Mr. Fordham. You can take it or leave it.
I think we should leave it.
Good call, Bill.
I found this letter in Miss Lathan's bedroom, which mentions that she recently changed her will. Could you tell me a bit more about the circumstances surrounding this change?
That's not an uncommon occurrence. People change their wills all the time. Relatives and friends fall in and out of favor constantly.
Had Miss Lathan made changes to her will previously?
No, this was the first time.
What change did she make exactly?
Just a change to her beneficiary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And when did this change occur?
About 4 months ago, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was definitely in June, because I'd been in bed with a nasty stomach flu at the end of May. That was no fun, let me tell you. I think I lost nearly 6 pounds from the constant trips to the WC. Couldn't keep a thing down, and whatever did stay down soon came out the other end, if you get my meaning.
I'd say his meaning is regrettably impossible to avoid.
Who did Miss Lathan name as her new beneficiary?
Mr. Fordham, please. You know I couldn't possibly tell you that. There is such a thing as attorney-client privilege.
Tell me or I'll sneeze on you.
I'm aware of that. However, Miss Lathan is deceased. Therefore, it stands to reason that she is in fact no longer your client.
True, but her estate is still in my hands. I'm not going to betray her trust just because she's dead.
How long have you been practicing law, Mr. Usher?
Usher and Price has been operating since 1805. I took over from my father 15 years ago. The stress hasn't helped my heartburn, I can tell you that. Why, just last night I was tossing and turning because I couldn't stand the burning in my throat. That's why I've got these bags under my eyes, you know.
Ah, yes. And Mr. Price?
He's still here, although I think he'll probably be retiring soon as well. But the law firm has done well over the years, and I have a feeling it'll do even better in the years to come.
Oh? Why is that?
We're currently beginning a group litigation against Royal Maverick for the Lygia disaster. I'm confident that we'll recover quite a significant sum for the families of those killed. You weren't by chance affected by the disaster, were you?
Thankfully, I wasn't, no.
Shame. You could have joined the class action and done quite well when we win.
You know, I always thought we detectives made our living off human tragedy.
Oh, no. Lawyers have the monopoly on that.
Mr. Usher, I've noticed from your rules and habits that you seem to have a particular aversion to germs. Why is that, if I may ask?
I've been ill most of my life, Mr. Fordham. I was a sickly child, and unfortunately my condition hasn't improved with age. It's a miracle I'm still alive. That's why I'm so careful about exposing myself to germs.
I see.
How's my color? Do I look pale to you?
Not particularly.
I saw myself in the mirror this morning and thought I looked a bit peaked. Also, my leg has been hurting more than usual, which has been cause for concern.
Nah, you've really done it, Miles.
Yes, well, moving on. About Miss Lathan's beneficiary.
I told you, Mr. Fordham. I can't divulge information protected under attorney-client privilege.
Do you not find it suspicious, Mr. Usher, that Miss Lathan died under such mysterious circumstances only 4 months after naming a new beneficiary? You said yourself she was wealthy. Does it not make sense that someone might have wanted her inheritance?
I suppose it's not entirely out of the question.
Right. So tell me the name of Miss Lathan's beneficiary so I can determine if this was, in fact, a murder.
Very well. It was a man named Roger DeVay.
Bam.
Interesting.
Do you know him?
His name's come up before in my investigation. Do you have his address?
Yes, it's 775 Pumblechook Place in Chumley.
That'll do nicely. Thank you, Mr. Usher. Thank you for your help, Mr. Usher.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Fordham.
And we didn't have to sneeze on you.
Don't get carried away with the hand washing, or you might end up like Usher.
Oh, I thought he'd appreciate us washing our hands before we left. Okay. Well, it looks like we're heading to Roger's house. So in terms of the case book, we have got Lathan's changed will, the linseed oil, the burnt cloth. I mean, everything is really speak to Roger DeVay at the university. We can, or we can go ahead and go to DeVay's residence and then have a chat with him. So let's do that.
Did Usher give us the wrong address? This should be 775, but there's no building here.
Homeless man, paintings.
These aren't in such bad shape, really. As far as the chum goes, this is one of the nicer areas.
Mr. Rich.
I used to draw funny pictures of rich people on walls too when I was a kid. Never did a lick of good, but it would always make me feel better. Doesn't look like much, but I bet it keeps the rain off, assuming there's no wind. Hey, that's just like the one we had when I was a boy. Good old Rusty. He served us well. Yeah, those aren't half bad. Too bad they aren't finished. I wonder if they're going to be used to keep the fire going. By chum standards, that's practically a four-poster. By chum standards...
Alright, this is taking a strange turn.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Is this 775 Pumblechook Place?
Yeah, it would be if the building were still here.
Oh, I see. Might I ask you a few questions?
You can ask.
Do you know Roger DeVay?
Know him? Of course I know him. He lives here with me.
He does?
Well, whenever he decides to come home, anyway. Rest of the time, I suspect he finds a way to sleep at his job. Me, I'd do the same, except I can't stand the smell of the horses.
I suppose the university would have plenty of places for one to sleep.
Oh, so he works at the university, does he? Well, I suppose that makes sense with him always putting on airs the way he does. Probably best not to mention me to him. He gets real testy when anyone asks about his situation.
I'll keep that in mind.
What's his situation, though? Well, obviously he's destitute, but...
Tell me about Roger's artistic pursuits.
Well, not much to tell, really. He used to paint all the time when he had his studio in the building that used to be here. He was good at it, too. Shame nobody ever bought his paintings. All that's left now are those two unfinished ones against the back wall there. Well, he used the rest of his spare canvas to make the tent.
How did Roger feel about his paintings not selling?
Well, how do you think? Made a matter in the March air. Didn't do a very good job of hiding his displeasure either. At least none around me. He always used to say he'd find some way or another to make the money he deserved.
Odd. He told me he was content with the salary he got from his teaching job.
That's a load of bunkum if I ever heard it. Truth is, old Roger's about as poor as Job's turkey. He'd do anything to make a quick crown.
Well, now, that's certainly interesting.
I know people who talk exactly like him in real life.
Do you know a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Nah, I don't know many women. They're not too fond of my company. Well, I don't understand why. I always try to be a perfect gentleman. Guess it just don't got the charm. I've asked Roger to give me a few pointers. He's a big hit with ladies, you know.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He no sooner looks at 'em than they're falling at his feet. Real natural, that one. Never brings it back here, though. Always winds up staying with him, getting a free meal and a soft bed out of it. Ah, well, the bohemian lifestyle ain't for everyone. Maybe someday my luck will change.
I'm sure it will change the day he decides to take a bath.
Well, let's not get too crazy there, Bill.
What's your name, sir?
Me? I'm Herman. Herman Shaw.
How long have you been living here?
Oh, I've been here for ages. Since before the building got condemned and was torn down. They pretty much forced us out, you see, but a couple of us came back and set up here. Seemed like a good idea. And I had nowhere else to go. That's not so bad, except for when it rains. And I guess we'll have to bundle up a bit more when it gets cold. But other than that, it's like the place was still standing.
There's some of that classic chum ingenuity. Or maybe it's just delusion.
Well, at least we know that the building was condemned and didn't burn down.
What happened to this place? Why was it condemned?
The building was old, in a pretty sad state, so the inspectors came by and said it was unfit for living. There was a whole lot of us here. Most were able to pick up and go, but a few of us stayed.
Why don't you go to a workhouse?
You wouldn't be asking if you'd ever been inside one. It's wall-to-wall people, children crying, sick folk coughing all over you.
But there's plenty of that out here, too.
Well, sure, but out here, there's freedom. Nobody telling you what to do except the odd copper. Not even many of them in this neighborhood. Besides, this is my home. Just because it's missing a few walls don't mean I ought to abandon it.
You look somewhat familiar. Didn't I see you protesting outside the Harris construction yard?
Yeah, I was there. What of it?
Were you affected by the Ligeia disaster?
Well, nobody I know was killed, if that's what you mean.
So, why were you protesting the construction of the Lenore?
That Devons fella promised he'd buy us a meal if we stood in the crowd. And for a free meal, I'd do just about anything.
I thank you for your time.
Maybe give us a shilling or two for the trouble?
I'll consider it.
I guess we considered it and decided not to. Now let's have a chat with Mr. Dube.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Could I ask you a few more questions?
Yes, I suppose so.
Is it true that Miss Lathan recently changed her will to make you her beneficiary?
Yes. You can imagine my surprise.
My understanding is she left you quite a significant sum.
I don't see how that's any of your business, but yes, she did. I'm very lucky. Oh, I see what you're getting at. You're thinking I killed her for her money. Is that it?
I never said anything of the sort, Mr. Dube.
No, but I can see it in your eyes. Look, Desiree considered me the son she never had, and she was like my second mother. I would never, ever even think of doing something so horrid.
Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't.
Well, time to bring up unpleasant topics.
I've met your roommate, Herman.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Fordham. I have no roommates.
Okay.
Really? You don't live at 775 Pumblechook Place, in a rather cozy hovel?
How dare you, sir? I've done nothing to deserve such insults. I would appreciate it if you took your leave of me now.
Herman wasn't kidding about this one being proud. Well, it's fitting that Mr. DeVay is an artist, because I think he's painted us a pretty clear picture of what happened to Ms. Lathan.
And suspect added. Return to Upton and declare Desiree Lathan's death the result of spontaneous human combustion. Return to Upton and accuse Margaret Andrews, or return to Upton and accuse Roger DeVay. The thing about it is, everything points to DeVay. We've got the linseed oil, we've got the changed will. It's pretty significant. Let's see. Let me... Crumpled letter. Let's go ahead and head out here real quick. We'll just kind of run by everything just to make sure there's anyone else to talk to.
I don't think there's really any...
Okay. Seeing if anyone might have information on him as an artist.
Best not to...
Okay. No more information from Herman. Nothing wrong with being thorough, you know what I mean?
Nothing more to ask her about right now.
And her and her furry friends.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
I don't think there's anything she can help with right now.
Alright.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you to that which you seek.
And no one at... that we need to go to Right Way anymore.
Nothing else to ask him about right now. We haven't got anything else to ask him.
Yeah, I think we have pretty much reached the end of the investigation.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I'm done with the Lathan case.
Oh? What have you got?
Human combustion. Yowza. Well, let's do it.
She was murdered by Roger DeVay, a professor of art at the university, in order to claim her inheritance. DeVay befriended Miss Lathan and even painted her portrait, but his failure to establish a name for himself and earn a living from his art was driving him mad. Miss Lathan cared for him as a son, and recently changed her will, naming Roger as her sole beneficiary. Roger knew of this, and decided killing Miss Lathan was the best way to solve his financial troubles.
And how did he manage to do so?
Desiree had given him a key to her apartment. While she was out at the Grand Dame's ball, he entered and left a pile of rags soaked in linseed oil under her bed. She arrived home drunk and passed out, unaware that the rags were growing hotter by the minute. Eventually, the oil burst into flames, burning the rag pile as well as poor Miss Lathan.
How awful. Well, I'll certainly pass along the information. What an astounding series of events. Although I'm sorry you won't be able to gloat to Snelling that you solved the case before his detectives did.
I can find other means of amusement, I think.
And gloating.
Good work, Fordham. As usual, I'll send anything else your way as soon as I get it.
The Art of Murder.
Roger DeVay?
Yes, what is it?
You're under arrest for the murder of Desiree Lathan.
Oh, I see.
Come with me. We need to ask you some questions at the station. And you up there, make yourself decent, would you?
He seemed to take that well.
Dearest, I'm back.
There you are. I was starting to get worried you wouldn't make it home in time.
In time? In time for what?
For dinner at the Rutherfords. I told you about it the other night, don't you remember?
I'm terribly sorry, dear. It must have slipped my mind.
How you haven't yet been presented a prize for Husband of the Year is beyond me.
There's still time for you to get ready if you hurry.
Okay.
Why not just reschedule? I'm sure they'll understand.
They're leaving on a 2-month trip to Europe next week. This will be the last chance to see them for ages.
Then go ahead without me. Please give Anne and Joseph my regrets.
So you're just going to sit here at home by yourself?
I'll probably just catch up on my reading or try and get some sleep. Maybe I'll get around to reading that story in Brentwell's.
All right, suit yourself. I shouldn't be home too late, but don't wait up.
Have a wonderful time, my love.
Yuck, kiss her! Oh, Miles.
Alone at last.
If only I were.
Careful what you wish for, Miles. You just might get it.
Seeing as I won't, I think another trip to the Angel's in order.
Oh, you're gonna break your word in addition to lying? That's bold.
Nonsense. I'll be home in no time. It'll just be a quick drink to calm my nerves and get you out of my hair.
I think I need a machete for that, Fordham.
Very funny.
Oh, Miles, bad decisions.
So, that last case was really something. Classic example of murder for money. Such a shame. Perhaps with Roger in jail, Miss Lathan's riches will go to a more worthy cause, like feeding the poor. You're not listening to me, are you? Oh, right, you've had 2 drinks already. Fine, I'll just see myself out.
Copper for your thoughts, Miles?
Oh, I was just thinking about a story I read tonight in Brentwell magazine. It's called The Dissembling Mechanism. Are you familiar with it?
Afraid not. Brentwell isn't really my type of magazine.
It isn't mine either, but my wife suggested I read it, and it struck a bit of a chord.
Go on, then. What's it about?
There's this inventor. She's the greatest mind of her age. He's the greatest mind of his age. Let's, Did we read it?
The story concerns an inventor, a woman who's the greatest mind of the modern age. In this story, ethericity's been discovered, and the inventor understands and uses it in her work.
Ah, one of those fantastic speculative stories.
Anyway, this inventor spends her time creating mechanical wonders, the likes of which the world has never seen.
Bum bum bum. Spouse, child, or sibling. Let's go with child.
The inventor has a son whom she loves dearly. One day, he meets a tragic end in a carriage accident. The inventor is devastated.
All too common in these types of stories.
Yes, well, as I mentioned before, the inventor is the greatest mind of the modern age. She spends weeks researching a way to bring him back. She toils for hours, forgetting to eat, neglecting her duties, forgetting her friends. Finally, she finds a way to repair his broken body with mechanical implants. Once that's done, she harnesses the power of ethericity and revives him from death.
Why would she go and do something like that?
Guilt, love. I'd say guilt.
Because the inventor's obsession was fueled by guilt. She felt responsible for the death of her loved one, and would stop at nothing to make things right.
But why? She had nothing to do with the accident, did she?
Guilt is a strange emotion, Patrick. It can easily trump rationality, believe me. In any case, things don't go well. The inventor brings her son back, and at first he's confused, wild. With time and patience, she tries to ease him back into the world of the living. But gradually, she comes to realize that this person she's brought back isn't her son. Not as he was, anyway. When she understands what she's done, she flies into a fit of madness, and she kills both her creation and herself.
How tragic.
She also leaves behind a note which closes off the story. I can still recall the exact words. This dissembling mechanism hath not the vital breath of he whom I loved. It is not him. I have formed but a vain, mocking shadow of what is forever lost.
That's one hell of a story, Miles.
As I said, it resonated with me quite deeply.
Same here. I can tell you, I'm glad that ethericity crap hasn't been discovered, or else this sort of thing won't just be in stories. You mark my words.
Yes, I suppose that's one way of interpreting it. I should probably be getting home.
One last gin for the road?
No.
Ah, hell, why not?
Oh, Miles. Storyteller.
It's later than I thought. Addie must be asleep.
No, she's waiting for you.
Miles, I thought you said you were staying in tonight. What happened to you?
Busted.
Nothing. I went out for a bit and lost track of time.
Miles, you're dead drunk.
No, of course I'm not.
Don't you dare keep lying to me, Miles. It's obvious. I can smell it on you.
But I'm not drunk. I only had 2, I think.
I don't care how many you had. You promised me this wouldn't happen again. Where exactly did you go tonight anyway?
Well, let's be as truthful as we can be. as the game will allow us.
I was at the Angel.
The Angel? But why would you go there?
I suppose I was just trying to relive the old days.
So why didn't you tell me you were going?
I don't know.
Miles, this has to stop. First it was that sleep medicine, now you started to go out drinking yourself into a stupor after you explicitly promised me you wouldn't again. It's clear that you've been keeping something from me and using drugs and drink as a way to avoid dealing with it.
No, really, it's just...
No, Miles. I'm tired of the lies. I heard what you said when I came home from my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. God forbid Adelaide ever find out about something. I wanted to think I'd imagined it, so I let it go. But I've come to realize just how wrong I was.
Addie, please.
Enough. No more excuses, no more lying. I just want to hear the truth. What is it you're not telling me?
Okay.
I can't tell you, Addie. I'm sorry, but if I do, you'll think I'm crazy.
Do you know what I think is crazy, Miles?
Uh-oh.
The fact that you think it necessary to lie to your own wife. Am I to believe that for all these years you've never felt you could trust me?
Of course not. It's just that this is different.
A lie is a lie, Miles. And the bottom fact is you've been lying to me for months. Perhaps I was too naive or too distracted to see what was really going on, but you finally opened my eyes. This can't go on. I refuse to let it go on.
What are you saying?
Get out, Miles, and don't come back until you're ready to tell me the truth.
Addie, you don't mean that.
I do mean it, Miles. I don't care where you spend the night, but it's not going to be here. If you ever decide you want to tell me what's going on, I'll listen. But until then, just go.
That could have been worse. It really could have. He's just in the... Aw.
Oh.
So he's in the doghouse. Where are we going to go? Oh, okay. Are we going to Upton's?
Take me away from all my troubles. So far away from all the worries in my life. Who in the ether is calling at this time of night?
Is she drunk too?
Oh, Miles! Please come in. It's so nice to see you outside of work.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I get a hug and a kiss? Is that how it works now?
You put up your rough and tough attitude, but I know deep down you're really a kitten.
Upton, are you drunk?
No, of course not. I admit I like to have a glass of wine or 6 to unwind after work, but I can hold my own.
Well, I'm glad you're not, because I am.
Wait, what's going on? Is everything all right?
No, I'm afraid I've made a mess of things at home. Addie threw me out.
Oh, Miles. I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Not as sorry as I am, believe me.
What happened?
It's really not worth getting into. Let's just say I need to figure some things out about my life.
Don't we all?
Constance, I hate to impose, but...
Of course you can stay here, Miles. As long as you need to.
Careful.
Thank you. I won't need much space. That chair in the corner should do nicely.
Are you sure? You won't be uncomfortable?
I've slept in worse places, believe me.
All right. Well, I should probably be getting to bed. Early morning tomorrow and all that.
Of course. Have a good night, Upton, and thank you again for letting me stay.
Not a problem. Good night.
Okay. 1 week later. What's going on here?
Election night. The perfect opportunity to switch out one rich swindler for another. Don't know why you're wasting your time. It's not as though the Prime Minister actually does anything. It's oddly quiet in here. Maybe my mustache drawing campaign had an effect after all.
Good evening, sir. Are you registered to vote?
Yes, I am. Here's my registration card.
Very good, Mr. Fordham. You've come at an excellent time. Go ahead and step inside a booth. Take as long as you need.
Thank you, young man.
All right. Well, it's nice to know that Miles isn't neglecting his civic duty, despite the fact that he is definitely not in a good way. I'm wondering where the story's going to go from here, guys, but I guess we will find out in the next episode. Hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked it, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.